Hey vinyl community, welcome to the Personal Oasis. This is Blind Island Reviews. Today we are going to be taking a look at the legendary saxophone player Sonny Rollins' 1966 album East Broadway Rundown, released on the legendary Impulse label. I like to give a little background information on these albums before I start reviewing them. So just to give you a little bit of background information, this was the last of 3 albums that Sonny Rollins had cut for the Impulse label, the others being On Impulse and the Alfie soundtrack. Each record was incredibly different from the other, and it was a really great experiment. This also was the last album that Sonny Rollins cut in the 1960s, and he wouldn't return to the studio until 1972 on the Milestone label for his record called The Next Album. This was also one of his only albums in which he went into a foray to play around the outer edges of avant-garde jazz and free jazz. Now to get into the review. This album, like I said, wavers between the avant-garde and experimental, but also travels right back into melodic hard bop. The 20-minute title track is explosive in its experimentation. It also hits hard with Freddie Hubbard adding a little color to the proceedings with his trumpet. Sonny Rollins is joined with 2 parts of the John Coltrane Quartet here with Jimmy Garrison and Elvin Bishop. Jimmy Garrison has a great bass solo on this track and also hits a very strange experimenting single note bass line around the 10-minute point that really either is going to draw you into how strange and weird it is or turn you off completely. It also seems more of an homage to free jazz than a straight up style of it, because it never loses the thread. There's always something that's returning you back to the harmonic title of it. It never goes off and just completely out there territory, even though there are some points where it's going to stretch people who really enjoy traditional jazz and individuals who are more into the Sonny Rollins hard bop, the bridge era. Also, Elvin Jones just cooks on this record. His drum solos tear it up. There are a couple of moments where he really steals the show, and you love hearing him just go to town on those toms. Side 2 seems completely removed from the experimentation of side 1. Side 2 is what we have playing right now. It's definitely more in line with what we know from Sonny Rollins. Just nice, clean sax lines. It does waver a little bit with and kind of play around with experimentation and with blessing in disguise. But ultimately, it's definitely more grounded than side 1. One thing listeners will notice is how sparse this album sounds just with him working in the trio. I think that's really to pull attention to the strength of each player that's here. I believe that it's one of those albums that you could potentially be jarred a little bit in and out of, because side 1 is so experimental and side 2 is more traditional, that either you're going to respect the experimentalism on the first side, or it's going to completely take you out of the record. The album ends on a very pleasant ballad that hits all of the right notes and kind of does away with all hints of avant-garde jazz. I would say that the album highlight here is blessing in disguise. It's a 12-minute tune on side 2. I just love the sound of Sonny Rollins' trumpet. To me, there is no better, not his trumpet, his sax. My apologies, jeez. But to me, there is no better saxophone player than Sonny Rollins. There are many sax players out there, but when you listen to a Sonny Rollins album, it has this golden clarity to it that not many other players could be claiming that they own. He has a very clear and distinct voice. So my final thoughts on this record is, while it's not my favorite by Rollins, I love how gutsy it is. His willingness to go out on a limb and try new things, and also tip his hat to the people who were changing the jazz landscape at the time. The new thing, Archie Shepp, Albert Ayler, and even John Coltrane. It shows that he was not a curmudgeon. He didn't look down. Even Miles Davis thought Ornette Coleman and his experiments were too out there, even though he would go off on his own tangents after Bitches Brew. I truly think that this is a record worth diving into if you're willing to stretch yourself. Side 1 is a journey, but I love the tone quality playing on side 2. And for those of you that don't like to be pushed in your jazz, I wouldn't recommend this record. However, if you're willing to kind of go out on a limb and try something different, this is definitely an album that's worth exploring, and I give this one a 4 out of 5. I want to thank you so much, you guys, for showing your support, starting to get some subscribers, starting to get some likes on the videos. Really, really appreciate it. And I also just want to say that we're really looking forward to one day having a space where you can come and have your own conversations about music. Hopefully we'll keep you up to date with some new stuff as far as Blind Island is concerned. And on Fridays, start looking for Blind Island Marketplace Corner. We're going to be showing off at least 5 albums that are for sale online, and a little bit of background on them, as well as the prices. So that's something to look forward to as well. I want to thank you guys so much for taking the time out of your day to watch this video. I hope that you have a very blessed one, and have a great day on your own personal oasis. Cheers.